In this very room, there's quite enough love for all the world. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough love and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. Oh, Spirit, Holy Spirit, is in this very room. In this very room. In this very room. So what I know in this moment, and invite you to know with me, there's one power, one presence, one life. And I affirm and know in this moment, because I know what I hear, I forget, what I see, I remember, and what I say, I become. And so we activate and invite and welcome this divine presence, this unified field into our experience through the spoken word, through the I am. So I affirm and know in the first person for each person here, that life is perfect, that life is source, that life is spirit, that life is God, that life is my life here and now. And I open to it this day of infinite possibility, this day of watching and the opportunity of a meaningful ritual, dissolving that which no longer serves me and serves you, to release and to make room. And so I just give thanks for the guidance and the wisdom and the clarity and the blessings that have brought us together today. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be alive, to be able to create with you, to give birth to something that is seeking expression and seeking an opportunity to be given birth. And so in a beautiful, wonderful way, I just simply give thanks for all that has been, for all that has brought us to this moment, and for the greater yet to be. So in gratitude and appreciation, I invite you to sing with me. And so it is. Alrighty. So I had to go back and get some more flash paper. Burn it all up. And then I had to send Daniel to my office because my computer battery went dead. So in order to use PowerPoint, we have to have the computer. So we could do it with or without. I say let's do it with. Why not? Let's see who's Facebooked me on. There we go. Let's not chill up. Thank you for your support and patience. Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, I looked over, my computer was gone. I said, oh my gosh, who took my computer? And then I realized I did. Because the battery was dead. There it is. Nope, it was last week. Let's go through this one. Look at all those slides. Well, let me open the red slide deck here for you. Let's open recent. Thank you for your patience and understanding. Should be in here open somewhere. It's disappeared. There it is. I knew Ernest was hiding there somewhere. Whew. Mystery solved. All right, I used up all my time fixing the computer, so let's go on. So we've been tracking this these weeks, the Science of Mind textbook, first two chapters, and today's, there it is, what it does. Here's Ernest, and I'm going to make my screen a little bigger here too. And we're going to do our burning bowl ceremony today. So I know that Daniel's filming for YouTube, so we have a YouTube channel set up now, so people can tap in that way, and we have Facebook Live at our 10 o'clock service every Sunday for people that can join us Facebook Live, and so that's been a lot of fun to watch the participation there. So if you're on Facebook Live, make sure you share when you're there. It's helpful, and as Darlene said, through the social media, it's one way that we can expand our influence. So that's our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes. Last year was celebrating 100 years of the science of mind, but we're still celebrating 100 years of the science of mind. So Dr. Holmes had this to say at the second page, on page 41. What it does, we can know God only insofar as we can become God. And so he also articulates there that this is figuratively, not literally. This idea that, that we are God unto ourselves, but we are an individualized expression of this infinite potential and possibility. And so what it is that we are a drop of God in an ocean of God. We are made in the image and likeness. And by that whatever tendency of thought and state, tendency of state really, rather than tendency of thought. Because thought is one of the brains, but there's 3 brains that we know now that in the neuroscience that we have. And I really encourage you, if you feel called, to join us next Saturday. We've still got some space available. I'm really excited about the information we're going to share. We're going to share a lot of practices. We're going to look at some things that we just don't have time to do on a Sunday morning. So if you feel called at all to that, if you're not an experienced meditator, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of wonderful guided meditations. It's not going to be so much silent meditation. It's guided. We're going to walk you through a series of those inspired by Dr. Joe Dispenza. We're going to do some architect work around some of this beautiful work that has been done by a Zen master in terms of identifying the archetypes, which is very much about, as we do with the Q process, who we've come here to be. But we have to practice these things. And so, so waking up, consciousness is all about waking up. So what do we wake up to? Do we just do the spiritual work? We do the meditation workshop next weekend and we just all of a sudden reach enlightenment? But typically it doesn't happen that way. It can, but it doesn't happen that way because it takes practice. And it takes practice because all of us are challenged by the same situation and circumstances. So Dr. Holmes said this as well in the Science of Mind textbook. It is necessary that we release all thoughts as well as things that clutter up our lives. So today we're doing a releasing ceremony. If you've got a piece of flash paper on your way in, we're going to have you come up in a few minutes and place it in this bowl. I'm going to put a flash paper here because our cue card says, please have compassion for us when we're being not enough. So this is my not enough piece of flash paper that I'm going to put in the bowl right now. I'm releasing the idea of not enough for myself and for anyone else that's in agreement with it. But we have to make room. So what happens to us, all of us, on this journey of waking up? Because what we don't realize is when we remember we forgot, that's part of waking up. So we come here, we read a book, we take a class, all of a sudden we go somewhere else, we go down and hang out with Tony Robbins. He was in town a couple weeks ago. And Tony does great stuff. And he's got wonderful practices as well. And if you're drawn to, we all have teachers. We're all drawn to certain teachers. And I celebrate Tony's work. He's helped a lot of people. But the point being is that we're all suffering from the same challenges. And what happens is the neuroscience is telling us now, and we live in such a great time, because there are ways to accelerate this. Our process and understand it at a deeper level. So the more we understand it, less we fall asleep, less and less. It's the journey. So when we fall asleep and forget and catch ourselves falling asleep, that's progress. We can say, oh my gosh, this is great. I fell asleep and I only stayed asleep for a month this time, or 2 weeks this time. Rather than beat ourselves up. Yeah, woo! Yeah, it is something to be celebrated. We think we failed because we slide back into the old pattern. But we have memorized these patterns. So what the mind is, the language of the brain, the neurotransmitter system of the brain is thoughts. So thoughts. And it's the amygdala up front. It's the front of the brain that's got, what the amygdala will do is it would rather be wrong 99 times out of 100 than miss the one time it needed to protect us. It's based on survival. When we lived in caves, and we lived out in the desert, and we lived up in the, we hollowed out a shelter in the snow wherever we lived. So that brain is busy, and it's typically busy protecting us because we get that front amygdala charge. And so, and then the language of the heart. The language of the heart is chemical. So what happens is we have patterns in our lives. Is everybody has some place they go in the evening to have a meal and sleep, I'm assuming. And we have a familiar environment, and we probably have a vehicle that, unless we've got a brand new car in the last couple of weeks, we're familiar with. In other words, we have things that we're used to. and we've had experiences. Anybody here have experiences in your life? Yeah. So we've all had experiences. And so what happens with our thinking is we get up in the morning and go, oh God, I gotta go to that job. My job only pays me so much. Or my job pays me so much, I'm so happy. Whatever the story is we make, is that's our meaning making. So, and I gotta go see so-and-so. Oh, golly, can't stand so-and-so. They just remind me of, or I just love so-and-so. Whatever it is, we make this stuff up. So we all have a past, we all have a history. So we get up in the familiar surroundings and we fall right into the familiar ways of thinking. And the familiar ways of thinking bring us right into the familiar ways of feeling. So how do we stop that? It takes 2 seconds for the brain, the amygdala, to kick in to protect us. How do we have 2 seconds to get this right? I'm gone. Boom, 2 seconds, boom, boom. Back into it, I'm back into the fear, I'm back into the anxiety, I'm back into the worry, I'm back into the scarcity, I'm back into the judgment, I'm back into the beating myself up, whatever it may be. Does this sound familiar to anybody? Yeah. But this, we all do this, okay? And so it's not good. I don't want to call it good or bad. It's not in our best interest, let's say, but it's familiar. It's a habit. And it's all based on past experience. We all need spiritual lobotomies. Anybody signing up for that? So how do we have a non-invasive surgical lobotomy? So I want to talk to you about that today, because what I want to do is release this. I want to offer a practice, and I want to partner with you. I need your help, because you partnering with me, we draft together. We create, when we do spiritual practice together, we create coherence. Next week I'm going to bring an amazing short video from, gifted to me by Dr. Gary Simmons, about Greg Brayton, talking about what a small group of individuals in coherence, and coherence means, it doesn't mean we all agree on the same thing. It means that we're all in the same energetic field of infinite possibility, which is renewing and empowering. And it's so foreign to us because we're so busy with our minds, and we're so smart and gifted and talented. All that stuff's good. We're just leaving out the most crucial and powerful aspect of our capacity to create and manage our lives. It's not taught to our kids. My mom and dad didn't know anything about this. They were busy surviving. Everything was survival, and you probably had parents like that too, giving you everything they had, it's everything they knew. My dad didn't have the bandwidth for this. And I understand it, and I have compassion, but just because he didn't have the bandwidth doesn't mean that I've got to give it up. Oh, I don't want to grow beyond my dad. Some people feel that way. I don't want to earn beyond my parents. I'd be insulting them. Okay, well, and you get to do that. It's necessary that we release all thoughts as well as things that clutter up our lives. So our brain, that I've discussed a little bit, our brain differentiates. Our brain judges. It decides what we like, what we don't like. It decides, it otherizes. There's Willie. I don't like Willie. I love Willie. Anybody? It just says the other side of the coin. But the point is that Willie's different from me. My good and Willie's good are separate. Willie's still going to write that check for $3 million as soon as I give him a check back for $1 million. And then we're going to look into one another's eyes lovingly each week and ask if we can capture it. But I do love Willie in the sense of humor and joy and connection. But the point is, so that I can think, my brain will tell me Willie's a separate thing from me. When in fact what we know, there's I won't have time, I'll show it to you next week as well, but our brains are powerful. Our consciousness is powerful. What we agree to, what we embody is powerful. It affects everything. And so little of it is genetic. So little of what patterns are in our lives are genetic. In other words, we're not stuck. So don't blame your genes. Your genes got nothing to do with it. You know, remember the comedian Gallagher? And he said, you know, he had that long flowing hair, but he was bald on top. And he said, you know, they say that having hair is in your genes. He said, I got plenty of hair in my genes. It's like that. We authorize, we predict and control, and it's egoic. That's what the brain does. We have our personalities are there, and all good stuff. We need that stuff. But when we limit it, when we just limit that capacity, we're leaving out the heart. So what the heart does, the heart knows none of that stuff. The heart doesn't know personality. The heart doesn't differentiate. The heart just wants to what? What does the heart want to do, Linda? Love. The heart wants to connect. I mean, that's what these teens go away from camp, and we all look at them like, oh my gosh, what happened to them? They all came back. They're in love with one another. They connect, have these meaningful conversations, and it's a beautiful experience. And everything, oh, that'll fade, and it probably does fade. But the door got open, and they see the infinite possibility. And that's a beautiful thing, because once you've been stretched to that, you can never go back to the original state. The heart integrates. It has intuition, a higher self. So it's mystical. It's intuitive. That's how we open that up. That's why we brought the cue process here. We get so stuck in the head, the amygdala, protecting and blaming and shaming and this and this and this and this. It can't get us anywhere. It won't get us anywhere. You watch the political scene. It's a bunch of good ideas. One more good idea won't get us there. But people don't know what else to do. So I'm going to put one in right now for blaming. We're going to throw blaming into our burning bowl here off of our cue sheet. But the heart knows there's an intelligence. Dr. Holmes said this, the world is beginning to realize that it has learned all it should through suffering and pain. He wrote that in 1926. You think we have? Because it sure looks like we keep going back around it, doesn't it? It looks like, oh man, let's create more suffering and pain. Let's make that group the matter with us. Let's make that guy, that girl. There's the problem. Let's identify the problem. That's the mind. That's the amygdala. Let's marginalize that group. Laura and I watched a couple of movies over the weekend. One was about a young group in India. And one was the Miss India contest. And all these beautiful Indian women, just gorgeous. And they're doing this pageantry. And then they had another story going on where this group was training the young Indian women, and little to big, in the Hindu tradition. Because they felt like their tradition was being westernized. So the Miss India contest was a version of the westernization of India. And this group over here wanted to preserve what was precious and important to them. And so what happened was and within India, so it's really eye-opening, because, I always think of India, I'm very naive in magical thinking. I think there's a lot of enlightenment over there, because so many great teachers came from there. They're pointing fingers and blaming and shaming and hating one another just like we are. And I thought, isn't this crazy? Isn't this just crazy that we don't even question marginalizing another group? We don't even question being angry and pointing fingers and blaming and shaming. Because it all comes from our own unintegrated, unhealed stuff. But we can be so right. I mean, and when I say we, I'm talking about humanity. I'm not talking about people in this room. But all of us can slide into that trap. And then where does it take us? Well, then we can have wars because we differentiate. Good guys, bad guys. It's not going to take us where we want to go. I mean, and the other thing that's remarkable to me is so people will say, well, my teacher's Jesus. I run into people all the time, my teacher's Jesus. Oh, well, good for you. I've got a teacher. My teacher's Jesus too. And then you'll have people say, well, my teacher's Muhammad. And other people will say, well, my teacher's Moses. And my teacher's Tony Robbins. My teacher's this and that. At the end of the day, guys, it doesn't matter who your teacher was. Did you get the teaching? We're so busy establishing who's our teacher, and you're wrong. Not people in this room, but maybe there is. I don't know. I can't speak for you. I'm just saying, my observation, it's insanity. And that's what I love about Dr. Ernest Holmes. He studied every teaching, and he filtered it all down and says, you know what, we don't need another religion. We don't need religious science. Just go take this teaching and take it and apply it in your life as a Christian. Take this teaching and apply it as a Buddhist. or a Muslim, or whatever you are. There's one life. That life is God. That life is Spirit. That life is Source. That life is my life and your life right here and right now. How can I embody more of that? How can I become more of God in my life? Not because I'm special, just because I know that that's the source of my life. But most people can't think beyond that. And they're domesticated in a pattern. They don't get the teaching. The golden rule in all of them is the same. Do unto others as you would be done unto. Every one of them says the same thing. There's not one of them that says go kill the opposite group. That just gets dummied down and dummied down and dummied down. And many people accept that. To me, it's unacceptable. That's why I keep getting up here every week and doing this. There are times I feel like, I watched these two movies over the weekend. I got to tell you, I had a crisis of faith. I just thought, what am I doing? Look at the world. Am I making any difference at all?
Yes.
Well, thank you. But but you look at it and it's so overwhelming. It's just so overwhelming. But I can't quit. I can't give up. Because then I'm lost. And the difference, I've been thinking about this. Because I use the practice I'm going to share with you in a moment. And it doesn't matter. It matters, but it doesn't matter. I can't be attached to it because where the changes happen is within me. And if that's all, my teacher, Dr. Barnum, was my teacher's teacher. He said, if you move but one mind and that mind is your own, you've done it. And I thought, thank you, Dr. Barker. Because, man, I look out at the world and I cry. I just sob sometimes. Because I watch the suffering and the pain. And I read the science in my textbook. He says, have we learned enough through suffering and pain and competition and comparison? I think we have. But obviously we haven't. But there's hope. And I stay inspired because I want to learn. So every day I say to myself, I'm going to learn something today. I'm going to learn something today. And I'm going to get stronger physically. Because I love to be able to move. And so I'm going to take care of my health. And I'm going to put into this system, my mind and my heart and my gut, something that's valuable, something that's inspiring. Because I don't want to live with that other tribe.